I want you to imagine something for a second.
Okay.
We all want to grow, right? Like we all want to succeed to reach that next level of comfort or influence, or just plain freedom.
Right, of course.
You read the books,
No.
you put in the hours, you do the work. But what if the invisible barrier holding you back, the absolute ceiling on your success, isn't a lack of effort?
Mm-hmm.
What if it isn't a lack of talent or, the state of the economy? What if that barrier is literally just a passing thought you have while walking down the street?
Wow.
A split-second reaction that you don't even realize you're having, but one that completely rewires your potential.
It is a terrifying, but honestly, ultimately an empowering concept when you really stop to examine it.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we are going to be unpacking today. We're taking a very focused, intensive look at a specific excerpt from Chapter 4 of a text titled, Do Not Restrict Your Mind.
Right, the mission for today.
Exactly. The mission of this deep dive is to uncover how our hidden, restricted beliefs about money act as an invisible dam, a psychological dam that is actively blocking wealth.
Actively blocking it, yeah.
And more importantly, we are going to look at the exact prescription provided for permanently eradicating those blockages.
I am really looking forward to getting into the weeds on this. And just to set the stage for you listening right now, this is not a deep dive into complex financial models.
No, definitely not.
We aren't going to be looking at stock portfolios or compound interest charts or real estate algorithms. The tone of the material we're looking at today is calm, but it carries this distinct urgent weight to it.
It really does.
It is entirely about raw human psychology. It's about self-awareness. It's about the visceral, almost involuntary reactions we have to wealth when we encounter it in the wild.
Encounter it in the wild. I like that. Because this material strips away all the external excuses we tend to make.
Right.
It ignores the macroeconomic factors, it ignores our background, and it points the mirror directly at our own internal dialogue.
It's a tough mirror to look into.
It is. It asks us to engage in a rather uncomfortable mental excavation. Because the core argument here is quite uncompromising. If your mind is restricted, your bank account will inevitably reflect that restriction.
There's no faking it.
No, there's no bypassing your own psychology.
Okay, let's unpack this. The excerpt opens with a quote from Kevin Hart that immediately sets the stakes for everything else we are going to discuss today.
It's a great quote.
The quote is, "No matter what people grow, if you chose not to grow, you're staying in a small box with a small mindset. People who win go outside of that box." It's very simple when you look at it.
Very simple.
There is so much packed into those few sentences.
Right.
But the phrasing that really catches my eye and honestly makes me bristle a little bit is the idea of choosing not to grow.
Yeah, that word choosing is heavy.
The author is framing stagnation not as an accident, not as a product of bad luck, but as an active choice.
Yeah.
A small box that you are electing to stay inside.
It is a provocative starting point, absolutely. The simplicity of that statement is deceptive because the implications are profound. When it emphasizes that people who win go outside of that box, it is establishing a binary reality for the reader.
They're either in or you're out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are either growing, which inherently requires stepping outside the box, or you are choosing the box.
Okay, I have to push back a little here. When the premise relies on the idea that we choose not to grow, isn't that a bit harsh?
It sounds harsh, yes.
Because what about systemic issues? What about people who are just genuinely dealing with a string of terrible luck? Does the author really believe we are entirely in a box of our own making, completely divorced from outside reality?
That is the natural reaction to this kind of absolute framing, and it's an important distinction to make.
Right.
What we are looking at here isn't a sociological study on systemic inequality. It is a text strictly focused on individual psychology and the internal locus of control. The author isn't denying that the world throws massive, sometimes unfair hurdles at people. What they are arguing is that your reaction to those hurdles dictates your growth.
I see.
The small box isn't necessarily your physical circumstance. It's the psychological boundary you draw around what you believe is possible for yourself.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's the difference between saying the world is hard and because the world is hard, I cannot succeed.
Exactly.
The latter is the small box.
Precisely. And why does the box feel so appealing to us psychologically? Because it feels safe.
It's cozy in there.
It is. A restricted mindset is incredibly predictable. If you convince yourself that you cannot achieve more, that wealth or success is fundamentally out of your reach, you never have to face the vulnerability of trying and failing.
You never have to stick your neck out.
Right. You never have to face the judgment of your peers for daring to be ambitious. The box is a defense mechanism.
But the material doesn't let the reader off the hook with that excuse.
No, it doesn't.
It immediately follows the Kevin Hart quote with a mandate. You must constantly remind yourself, whatever goal you set, you can achieve it.
And that word constantly is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yes, you have to keep reminding yourself. It's not a one-and-done realization you have on a Sunday afternoon and then you're fixed forever.
It's a practice.
It's a constant active defiance of that small box.
Yeah.
Because the small box is always trying to pull you back in with the gravity of comfort.
It is.
And this leads us right into the core thesis of the entire excerpt, which is where things start to get really granular.
Let's get into it.
The central premise is basically arguing that holding on to restricted beliefs doesn't just make wealth harder to get, it makes it impossible.
Right.
It states that if you have restricted thinking about money, you will never be able to accumulate wealth. Not it will take longer. Never.
That absolute certainty is striking, isn't it? And the mechanism of why you will never accumulate wealth is explained right alongside it. The argument is that we need to uncover what these restricted beliefs are because they are actively hampering the influx of wealth into your life.
Let's talk about that specific phrasing for a minute. Hampering its influx.
It's a very specific choice of words.
That single word influx completely shifts the paradigm of how most people view wealth, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, and it's a vital linguistic shift.
Yeah.
When we think about making money, especially in modern hustle culture, the societal narrative is usually about chasing it.
You hunt for it, you grind for it.
You pursue it relentlessly. It's viewed as a scarce resource that you have to wrestle away from the world.
Exactly like a zero-sum game.
But the word influx paints a completely different psychological picture. Influx implies a natural, continuous flow.
Like a current.
Yes.
Oh.
It suggests that money is like water in a river naturally moving toward you by default. The material also uses the phrase free flow of money, portraying wealth as something that naturally wants to enter your life unless you block it.
Unless you build a dam.
Right.
And that dam is made entirely out of your own restricted beliefs. The core idea is that these negative thoughts literally do not allow the free flow of money into your life and actively stop you from gaining wealth.
They are the concrete blocks.
So for you listening right now, I want you to really think about this dynamic. Are you unknowingly building a dam against your own success?
It's a tough question.
Are you out there working 80 hours a week, trying to drag buckets of water from the river, exhausting yourself, while simultaneously building a massive concrete wall of negative subconscious thoughts that stops the river from just flowing directly to your front door?
That is the exact metaphor we are meant to internalize. And what is being put forward here through these psychological theories is a systemic way to dismantle that dam.
Right.
There is a promise embedded in the text. If you apply these theories, the influx becomes inevitable.
But then almost immediately after making that very appealing promise, there is a rather harsh truth dropped on the reader.
Yes, there is.
Here's where it gets really interesting. There is a clear anticipation of the reader's reaction. A warning that as you go through these steps and suggestions to remove your limited thinking, you are probably not going to be comfortable.
It's going to hurt a little.
In fact, it lays down a diagnostic gauntlet. It suggests that if you are not at ease following these suggestions, that discomfort is proof positive that you have a strong resistance towards money. If you feel friction reading about this, that friction is the exact problem you need to solve.
What's fascinating here is how the reader's own internal discomfort is weaponized as a diagnostic tool.
Yeah, so.
For the listener who might not be familiar with the psychological term, what we're talking about here is cognitive dissonance.
Right, cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance is that terrible, almost physical, mental friction you feel when your underlying beliefs don't match your current reality or the new information you are trying to adopt.
Like believing you're a health-conscious person while you're standing in the kitchen eating a giant donut at midnight. Your brain hates that friction. It wants to resolve it.
That is a perfect, relatable analogy. Your brain cannot stand the contradiction. So regarding wealth, if your deep-seated subconscious belief is that money is the root of all evil, or rich people are greedy, but your conscious mind is reading a book trying to become wealthy.
The cognitive dissonance is going to be deafening.
Exactly. Your brain will actively fight the new information to protect the old safe belief.
It wants to stay in the box.
It desperately wants to stay in the box. The material we're analyzing acknowledges this reality head on. It demands introspection.
It doesn't just offer toxic positivity and say, think happy thoughts.
No, not at all. It says when you fail to think positive, when you feel that resistance, you must interrogate that failure. You have to ask yourself why you are so uncomfortable.
And the prescription for this discomfort is almost brutal in its simplicity.
It really is.
It essentially says to get comfortable with these new ways of thinking, keep repeating them until you develop a comfort level. Just keep doing it.
Pure repetition.
You have to force the brain to normalize what it previously rejected. It's basically mental exposure therapy.
Precisely. Exposure therapy is a great way to frame it.
Yeah.
If you are afraid of heights, you don't cure it by intellectualizing gravity. You cure it by standing on progressively higher balconies until the panic subsides.
Right. You just have to do it.
The author notes that as you look at the required mental shifts, you will find them to be conceptually very simple, but there is an immediate clarification that the actual implementation may not be easy at all if you are harboring strong limiting beliefs.
Right. Acknowledging the vast canyon between simple and easy.
Exactly. Lifting a 300-pound weight is a simple concept. You just bend down and pick it up.
Just pick it up, Shreya.
The mechanics are simple, but it is certainly not easy if your muscles haven't been subjected to years of progressive overload.
And the same applies to rewiring your neural pathways.
Yes. The task is to trace these uncomfortable feelings back to their root causes and try to eradicate them permanently from your mind.
Eradicate them permanently. We are talking about a total overhaul of your psychological infrastructure.
We really are.
Which brings us to the absolute centerpiece of this entire deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about this source material is that it doesn't just leave us floating in the realm of abstract psychological theory.
No, it gets very practical.
It forces the issue. It gives us a real-world, visceral litmus test to check our feelings and visualize what we want.
A car scenario.
Yes, the car scenario. It sets a scene, and I want to paint this picture for you, listening exactly as it's laid out.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you are walking down the street. It's just a normal Tuesday afternoon. You are running errands, your mind is wandering,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly you see an incredibly luxurious car parked outside his shop.
Let's pause on the setup because the context is crucial here. It's an ambush.
An ambush, yeah.
It's not a structured meditation retreat where you are actively trying to be zen and mindful. You aren't sitting on a cushion preparing to think about abundance.
Right, you're just out and about.
You are just walking down a dirty city street. It catches your brain completely off guard.
Exactly. You are just living your life, and boom, extreme luxury is right in your face.
Right there.
You are ogling the beauty of the car. You are staring at the sleek exterior. You can even see the exclusive custom leather interior. You are taking all of this in.
Taking it all in.
And then comes the crucial instruction, the ultimate pop quiz for your mindset. You are asked to freeze that moment and answer. What are the thoughts running through your mind?
What are your feelings in that exact microsecond?
The key is to catch them as they occur before your conscious brain can edit them so that you can write them down and actually look at them.
This exercise is brilliant in its design because it completely bypasses the logical, curated version of yourself.
The PR rep.
Exactly.
Right.
We all have a PR representative living in our heads that tells us we are fair, ambitious, and supportive of others.
Right. We want to be the good guy.
But when you are suddenly confronted with extreme wealth, represented in this scenario by the luxury car, your subconscious reacts before your internal PR rep can filter it.
It's too fast.
By instructing the reader to catch those feelings as they occur, it is asking for an unedited raw transcript of your financial self-esteem.
I'll be totally honest here to validate how difficult this is.
Please do.
I read this exercise yesterday while preparing for the show, and I decided to actively test it. I was walking downtown, and I actually did walk past a high-end sports car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a McLaren, I think. And my very first instinct wasn't, wow, what a beautiful machine, or good for them.
What was it?
My immediate unedited instinct was, I bet that guy's in massive debt just to look cool.
Wow.
It's embarrassing to admit that on mic, but it proved the author's point perfectly. I wasn't admiring the engineering. I was building that dam. I was defending my own small box.
Thank you for sharing that, because that is exactly the human reality the text is targeting. It forces you to look at the dam you've built.
It really does.
And to help us recognize these blocks, there is an incredible forensic breakdown provided of what that dam typically looks like.
The 8 red flags.
Yes. We are given 8 specific negative thoughts that people commonly have in this exact scenario. The argument is that if you find yourself thinking any of these things, it is undeniable proof that your understanding of money is restricted.
We really need to spend some serious time dissecting these 8 red flags because they are so universal.
We definitely should.
I want to look at the first 4 together because they all seem to rely on the exact same psychological defense mechanism.
The morality shield.
Right. The author points out that our first line of defense is often a fake moral superiority. You see the car, and your brain immediately starts attacking the character of the driver.
Right.
You might think, the person driving the car is such a show-off. Or maybe the car driver is an attention seeker, so it is not something I look up to.
Just instant judgment.
Or you might go the philanthropic route. The person driving the car could have donated the money to the needy instead of spending it on the car.
That's a classic one.
Or even the purely practical judgment. Some homes may cost as much as this car, so what's the use of buying such a costly car?
This raises a profoundly important question about human nature. Why is our first instinct to judge the character of a person we have never met simply because of the object they own?
Right, why do we do that?
Why did you immediately assume the McLaren driver was drowning in debt?
Because it made me feel better.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture of psychology, we are looking at a classic ego defense mechanism, often tied to projection.
Projection.
When we encounter something we desire, whether it's a car, a physique, a job title, but we subconsciously believe we cannot have it, that gap between desire and reality creates psychological pain.
It hurts to want something you think you can't get.
Yeah.
So how do we stop the pain?
We alleviate the pain by devaluing the object, or more commonly by devaluing the owner of the object.
I see.
By labeling the driver a show-off or an attention seeker, the viewer is trying to claim the moral high ground. It is fake moral superiority masking deep feelings of inadequacy.
So if they're bad, I'm good.
Precisely. If the person with the wealth is inherently flawed, vain, or foolish, then I don't have to feel bad about not having the wealth. In fact, my lack of wealth becomes a badge of honor. It proves I am humble and grounded.
Oh, okay, that hits hard. It's entirely a defense mechanism to protect the fragile ego.
Completely.
If the driver is a bad, vain person, then I don't have to feel like a failure for not having what they have.
Yeah.
I am a good person, therefore I am safe in my box.
You're safe from the cognitive dissonance.
And that third thought, the idea that they should have donated to the needy instead, that is the ultimate weaponization of charity, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and it's perhaps the most insidious of the defense mechanisms because it masquerades as deep empathy.
Right. Do you feel like a saint?
You do. We use the concept of philanthropy not to inspire our own generosity, but strictly as a tool to tear down someone else's achievement.
We have no idea if they donate or not.
Exactly. We have no idea if the person who owns that car also funds an orphanage or builds schools, but our restricted mindset requires them to be selfish, so we invent a narrative where they are depriving the needy.
It's a fiction we create.
It's a way to feel righteous while remaining completely stagnant.
And what about that fourth thought? Some homes may cost as much as this car, so what's the use? That doesn't feel like a moral judgment of the person. It feels more like an accounting critique.
It is pure, desperate rationalization.
Rationalization.
It's attempting to use logic to suppress a visceral desire. The brain is saying, I can't afford this car, so I will convince myself that buying it is a mathematically stupid decision anyway.
Right. It's illogical, so I don't want it.
But the reality we have to face is that all of this mental gymnastics, the moralizing, the judging, the rationalizing, is just reinforcing the walls of the small box.
It's actively telling your subconscious that having that kind of wealth requires you to be a bad person, a show-off, or someone who deprives the needy.
Exactly. And since your core identity likely revolves around wanting to be a good, decent person, your mind will naturally block the influx of wealth to protect your moral identity.
To keep you safe from becoming the bad guy.
Your brain thinks it is saving you from becoming a villain. It is a brilliant, tragic form of self-sabotage. You are literally programming yourself to repel money so that you can remain the good guy in your own internal narrative.
That is heavy. And it perfectly sets up the second group of negative thoughts.
Yes, it does.
If the first 4 were about using morality as a shield, these next 4 don't even bother with the shield. They just surrender immediately to the circumstance.
Total surrender.
We can call this the defeatist reality. Instead of judging the driver, the viewer just collapses inward. The thoughts look like this: it is out of my budget. Or, it is a cool car, but I do not have that kind of money to buy it. Or they start generalizing. People who are filthy rich will be able to buy such a car, and so it is not something I can afford.
That phrase, filthy rich.
And finally, the most heartbreaking one of all. Even if I slog out all my life, I will not earn enough to purchase such a luxurious car.
If we look closely at the language here, the fatalism is absolute. The restriction is baked into the very vocabulary being used. Take that thought about the filthy rich. Why filthy?
Right. It's such a common phrase, but when you start to think about it, it's incredibly loaded.
It is an unconscious association of wealth with dirt, corruption, or something inherently unclean.
Wow.
It immediately distances the speaker from the concept of wealth. The internal logic is, they are filthy, I am clean.
Right back to the morality.
And therefore, it is not something I can afford. By categorizing wealth as a contaminant, the subconscious ensures you will avoid it just as you would avoid a physical contaminant.
Now, what about that final negative thought?
Yeah.
Even if I slog out all my life, I will not earn enough. That word slog, it implies such a bleak, joyless existence.
Slog is a fascinating word choice because it reveals a deeply ingrained, often culturally inherited belief about the nature of work and reward.
Like work has to be painful.
Yeah. It implies that money only comes from agonizing, bone-crushing, soul-destroying labor. It's a toxic mutation of the Puritan work ethic.
Yeah.
The person thinking this believes that the only mechanism for acquiring wealth is trading immense suffering for dollars. And worse, they believe that even a lifetime of that maximum suffering still wouldn't be enough to achieve the luxury they are looking at.
It's a complete declaration of hopelessness. You are literally telling yourself that your maximum potential over the span of your entire life falls short of this one object.
It's devastating.
The underlying argument here is that this specific kind of self-talk cements what is referred to as a no-money status in your life.
A no-money status, yes.
You have essentially written the script for your entire financial future, and you did it in a single passing thought on a random sidewalk.
What is being demonstrated with these 8 red flags is a profound psychological principle. A restricted mind doesn't just happen to lack money, it actively, aggressively repels it.
Shushes it away.
It acts as a defense attorney arguing for its own limitations. Every single time you walk past a shop window and casually say to yourself, well, that's out of my budget, you are confirming to your subconscious that your current financial state is a permanent, unchangeable identity.
Okay.
You are taking the influx, that flowing river of potential we talked about earlier, and you are eagerly throwing concrete blocks into it.
Okay, so we've identified the dam. We've looked at the concrete blocks, the moral judgments, the fatalism, the weaponized charity. How do we blow up the dam?
We have to shift the narrative.
Because knowing I have a problem is only half the battle. The material doesn't leave us stranded in this depressing reality. It gives us an exact blueprint for affluence.
The positive shift.
It outlines the positive shift, listing 9 specific thoughts that indicate you have successfully removed the restriction.
Yeah.
And the contrast between these and the negative ones is honestly mind-blowing.
It's day and night.
Let's start with the first 3, which I'd categorize as pure appreciation without envy. The thoughts shift to, wow, this is one of my favorite cars. Or, what a groovy car. I know I will be having one of such car in future. And my personal favorite, it feels good to know that people can afford such cars.
The tonal contrast is immediate and striking. There is absolutely no jealousy here. There is no moral judgment of the unseen driver. There is only a pure, unadulterated appreciation for the object itself.
Just purely admiring it.
When the text suggests the thought, it feels good to know that people can afford such cars, it is completely reversing the show-off mentality we just dissected.
But is it really that easy to just switch off envy?
No.
It feels like human nature to be a little jealous when someone has something you want. How do you actually make that shift?
It isn't easy, which is why the author warned us about the discomfort of the transition earlier.
Right, the cognitive dissonance.
Making the shift requires a conscious practice of decoupling the object from your own ego. Instead of viewing someone else's wealth as a direct insult to your own financial situation, a positive mind trains itself to view the existence of that wealth as tangible evidence of possibility.
Like proof of concept.
Exactly. If they can afford it, it proves that the money exists in the world.
Yeah.
The mechanism for acquiring it exists, and therefore it is logically possible for you too. It's a fundamental shift from an attitude of scarcity, where someone else having a slice of pie means there is less pie for me, to an attitude of abundance where the bakery is always making more pies.
I love that. The bakery is always making more. It's just pure joy.
Wow.
You are allowing yourself to experience the beauty of the moment, the incredible engineering of the car, without attaching your own insecurities and baggage to it.
It's liberating.
From there, the author moves into reframing the owner. Remember those negative thoughts that called the driver an attention seeker or a show-off?
Yeah, the villains.
Look at how the unrestricted mind reacts. The thoughts become, I am sure this person has the ability to fulfill all his wishes. Or even more radically, I am so lucky to have come so close to such a successful person who has achieved so much in his life.
What's fascinating here is how the narrative of the driver is completely transformed.
Totally flipped.
In the restricted mind, the driver is cast as an antagonist, a villain in your personal story of struggle. In the positive mind, the driver is cast as an inspiration, a mentor you haven't even met yet.
I like that, a mentor.
The thought, I am sure this person has the ability to fulfill all his wishes, is a profound acknowledgement of competence and success, completely devoid of the resentment we usually attach to it.
Hmm.
But that next thought about feeling lucky to be close to them is perhaps the most powerful psychological pivot in the entire excerpt.
I'm so lucky to have come so close. It sounds almost counterintuitive at first. Why would I feel lucky just to stand next to someone else's expensive car?
Because it reveals how you interpret your environment. A mind without restrictions views physical proximity to wealth as a form of serendipity.
Serendipity.
It interprets seeing the luxury car not as a cruel taunt from an uncaring universe rubbing your nose in what you lack, but as a lucky encounter with success.
That's a huge shift.
Think about it like seeing a world-class athlete at the grocery store. You don't get angry that you can't run as fast as them. You feel lucky to be in the presence of greatness.
Right. You ask for a picture.
This mindset applies that same awe to financial achievement. When you can celebrate a total stranger's wealth without a single shred of envy, you have successfully removed the emotional resistance that blocks your own wealth. You have stopped associating success with negative character traits.
So we've stopped hating the driver.
Uh-huh.
We've stopped moralizing about charity. We are appreciating the car. But what does this all mean for how we actually get the car, or the house, or the business, or whatever the goal is?
That's the next step.
This leads us to the final group of positive quotes, which revolves around inevitable future pacing. It's about literally speaking your future into existence.
Speaking it into existence, yes.
The thoughts are, the money flows into my life so easily that I have to only decide when I need to purchase the car, and the car will be mine. Or, if I let this car come into my life through my positive thinking, I will definitely have it. There's also this one. If you say to yourself that you can afford it, it may not be possible immediate future, but because of positive thinking, you may.
That's a key point.
And finally, I say that I can already feel that the car is in my life.
These quotes represent the absolute culmination of the philosophy we're exploring today. And I want to draw specific attention to that parenthetical note the author includes. It may not be possible immediate future, but because of positive thinking, you may. That caveat is incredibly important.
Right, because without that caveat, this starts to sound a little woo-woo, doesn't it?
A bit magical, yeah.
It starts to sound like magic. Like if I just close my eyes and wish really hard, McLaren will materialize in my driveway.
Yeah.
I want to be careful that we aren't endorsing delusion here.
That is a crucial distinction to make. We are absolutely not talking about magic here, and the author is not advocating for financial delusion.
Okay, good.
It is not saying you can literally walk into the dealership and buy the car that exact second if your bank account is overdrawn. It is acknowledging present physical reality while refusing to let that temporary reality dictate your permanent future.
So psychologically, what is actually happening when you say, I can already feel the car is in my life? If it's not magic, what is the mechanism?
What's happening psychologically is deeply tied to a concept known as the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
Not the RAS.
The RAS is a bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so the important stuff gets through. It's the reason you can hear your name spoken in a crowded, noisy room.
It filters out the noise.
Exactly. When you adopt a restricted mindset like, I will slog all my life and never afford this, you program your RAS to filter out opportunities because your brain believes wealth is impossible.
Wow.
Why would it notice an opportunity to make money if you've already decided you're meant to be poor?
It's just confirming your own bias.
Exactly. But when you adopt this positive mindset, when you say, I can already feel the cars is in my life, you are reprogramming the RAS.
You're changing the filter.
You are aligning your emotional state with the outcome you desire rather than the lack you currently experience. By adopting the feeling of having it, your brain starts actively scanning your environment for the people, circumstances, and opportunities that will make that feeling a physical reality.
That is so practical.
You start noticing investments, you start networking differently, you start taking calculated risks, because your brain now believes the outcome is inevitable. You are clearing the debris out of the river so the influx can actually happen.
That makes so much sense. It takes it out of the realm of mysticism and places it square low in the realm of neuroscience and focus.
It's highly scientific, actually.
When you suggest the thought, the money flows into my life so easily that I have to only decide when I need to purchase the car, you are completely replacing the toxic slog out all my life mentality with the concept of effortless influx. You are rewriting your fundamental relationship with money from one of desperate, agonizing pursuit to one of calm, inevitable reception.
It's a complete shift in identity. You transition from being a passive victim of your financial circumstances to the active author of your reality. And that brings us to the final synthesis of this excerpt.
The conclusion.
The author closes this section with a profoundly simple instruction. Try to understand your feeling when you get what you desire after thinking positively about the situation. Your feelings about money will be clear as soon as you are in tune with the source.
In tune with the source. Again, language that could sound a bit abstract, but based on everything we've discussed, it carries a very specific psychological weight.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of our discussion today, that phrase, in tune with the source, is the ultimate goal.
What does that mean practically?
Being in tune means there is no longer any static. There is no cognitive dissonance. There's no contradiction between what your conscious mind says it wants and what your subconscious mind actually believes you deserve.
You're fully aligned.
When your immediate, unfiltered, knee-jerk reaction to walking past extreme luxury is genuine joy, appreciation, and absolute certainty in your own future rather than bitterness, moral judgment, and defeat, that is when you know the restriction is officially gone.
The dam is broken. The water is flowing.
Exactly. You have stepped entirely out of Kevin Hart's small box. You are no longer choosing stagnation. You are in alignment.
You're in the flow. The influx is happening. This has been such a profound, challenging journey through what is really just a few paragraphs of text.
It is incredibly dense material.
We started with this somewhat confrontational idea that staying stagnant is an act of choice, a small box we build and lock ourselves inside. We explored the painful but absolutely necessary discomfort of rewiring our deep-seated resistance to wealth, understanding that cognitive dissonance is just the feeling of weakness leaving the mind.
That's a great way to put it.
We walked down that hypothetical street, stared at that luxury car, and forced ourselves to confront the ugly, defensive, defeatist thoughts, the morality shields, and the fatalism that secretly govern so many of our lives.
We really unpacked those red flags.
And finally, we looked at the exact blueprint for replacing those limiting beliefs with pure appreciation, abundance, and the kind of absolute inevitable certainty that trains our brains to spot every opportunity.
It is a rigorous mental exercise, and it is not for the faint of heart. What we've unpacked today demands that we stop being passive observers of our own thoughts. We must become active auditors of our internal dialogue.
For you listening right now, the takeaway from this deep dive is incredibly tangible. It's a challenge you could take into your life the minute this ends.
Right now, today?
The next time you walk down the street, or you're scrolling through social media, or you hear about a colleague's massive, unexpected success, pay close attention. Don't look at them, look at yourself.
Check your feelings.
Your first thought, that split-second micro-reaction before your polite societal filter kicks in to tell you what you should think, is a mirror reflecting your exact financial future.
It's the litmus test.
Catch it. Write it down. Be brutally honest with yourself. And if that thought is restricting you, if it's building a dam, do the uncomfortable, exhausting work of changing it.
The material leaves us with a profound realization about the invisible mechanics of success. If your immediate, unfiltered reaction to someone else's achievement is the true hidden measure of your own future wealth, what does your inner monologue right now say about where you will be in 5 years?
That's the question.
Are you using your thoughts to build a bridge to that future, or are you just using them to build a stronger box?
That is the question to carry with you today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep examining those passing thoughts, keep breaking down those invisible barriers, and whatever you do, do not restrict your mind. We'll catch you next time.